This episode is going to be again about Stillness Is The Key by Ryan Holiday, and I'm looking forward to going through that. But yeah, we're going to see after the intro, as quite always. As actually always. Quite. Fully. Whatever. I'm going to see you. And with that being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I really indeed am looking forward to recording this episode. It's hopefully going to be amazing. It's hopefully going to be a cool one. It's hopefully going to be an interesting one. But before, as quite always, we're going through the episode, there's a few things that I'm having to cover since I don't really tend to forget about it. But it is important. It is important to me. And I do want to address that. Please check out the description. That's quite it. So let's move on. Now let's just really move on, because the thing is, it is really important. Whatever is in the description, it is truly incredibly important. But I do not want to just talk about the exact same fucking shit all the fucking time. I do not want to do this, and this multiple times a day. I don't want to. So please check out the description. There's a lot of information that is also benefiting you, or especially benefiting you. And this is also one of the reasons why it just makes sense to have a look at the description and check it out. So please do that. The next point, the next point of the summary is enough. No one achieves excellence or enlightenment without a desire to get better. Yet, the desire, or maybe the need, for more is often at odds with happiness. The mentality that gets an athlete to the top so often prevents them from enjoying the thing they work so hard for. Which, is kind of definitely the case, if you're just really trying to push yourself, if you're really trying to get to another level, which is going to be quite difficult, which is going to involve some hard work and some, actually really a lot of work and really a lot of exhaustion and all those things, then I think we really can get into a place where what we really like to be doing, which is the sport or whatever it might be all about, that we just don't like to do that any longer, because we're working so hard on it, and it is so difficult. The creep of more is like a hydra. Satisfy one and two more grow in its place. And I'm gonna highlight it, so that you're going to have it in your summary, which you can also download in the description. This is one of the reasons why the description is such a cool place, because there's free stuff, and free stuff is always cool. And I think always something that we can appreciate, that's cool, that's good, that's amazing or something. Well, yeah. Bath in beauty, or bath? Is there actually an E in the end of bath? To bath? Well, nevertheless, not that all beauty is so immediately beautiful. We're not always on the farm. It's actually immediately. It is so immediately beautiful. Does this make sense? Maybe it does. I don't know. It could make sense. We're not always on the farm or at the beach or gazing out over sweeping canyon views. Which is why you must cultivate the poet's eye, the ability to see beauty everywhere, even in the banal or the terrible. Marvel at the fact that anything in life exists, that you exist. Well, this is definitely the case. It is a fucking fortunate thing that you're even existing. It's not like really normal, even though we just take it for granted because we are living already. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the case, kinda. If you really just think about it, I know it is actually something that's quite, I don't want to say stupid, but it is some sort of a difficult thing to talk about, and also to imagine that you could also just not be there, And I think it is something that's actually incredibly difficult to imagine, since you're already there, or you're already living. And therefore just kind of visualizing that you might not exist, or that you might have been just another person, that this particular part of the sperm just went to the egg, which then been you. Chances are really low, actually. Chances are really incredibly low to just exist. You could have also been a tree, which is not that good. It's not that of a good thing. You can't do so many things as a tree, and therefore we are just as human beings alone, we're quite fortunate. But on the flip side, like, I know that there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of bullshit and there's a lot of hate, jealousy, whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of negative bullshit. I know, there really is. But in the end, we do really have to appreciate the life that we're having, and we do just really have to appreciate that we're having a life, at least in my point of view. Accept a higher power. The common language for accepting a higher power is about letting him or her or it into your heart. And that's quite it. Kinda is the case. That is about rejecting the tyranny of our intellect, of our immediate observational experience, and accepting something bigger, something beyond ourselves. Just know that this step is open to you. It is waiting. And it will help restore you to sanity where you're ready. I'm not quite sure. It is really close to religions. And I know that there's a lot of people that do just not think about religions. They just don't like religions. They just, can't do anything with it. They do not really find it or think that it is something practical, which I can totally understand. I really can. But on the other hand, there's also people that are really just driven by their religion, which is something that's quite amazing. If you're just having something that's really driving you, whether it is your children, whether it is your work or yourself actually, or whether it is your religion or your you thinking about God and all those things. Like, it is amazing, no matter what is driving you, unless it is something just really negative, and if it is just hurting somebody else to some degree, then it's not good. But just besides that, it is just, it doesn't just matter. Whatever is driving you. The next point, enter relationships. Anyone can be rich or famous. Only you can be dad or mom or daughter or son or soulmate to the people in your life. Relationships take time. They expose and distract. They expose and distract us, cause pain and cost money. A good relationship requires us to be virtuous, faithful, present, empathetic, generous, open, and willing to be part of a larger whole. No one would say that's easy, because it is just truly not. But rising to this challenge transforms us. Stillness is best not sought alone, and like success, it's best when shared. Well, there's a lot of things that are just really cool doing alone, I guess, but there's actually also quite a really a lot of things that are not that cool if you're just doing it on your own, and they're really better if they're shared. Whatever it might be all about, I don't know, just playing games, playing chess alone is not something of an interesting thing. I think it is just way better if you're just playing chess with somebody else. It's making it more interesting, at least in my point of view. But it is what it is. Conquer your anger, which is the next one, and which is actually a pretty huge deal for me, and a pretty huge point for me, because it is definitely something, and I just do want to be transparent here. I am kind of struggling with anger and with just being aggressive, whether it is verbally and sometimes, unfortunately, also physically. But this is something that I am just controlling, really trying to control, and really just pushing myself to not let myself explode to some degree, or get to something like that. But on the other hand, being verbally aggressive is something that happens to me quite often. Might be because of some things that happened to me as I was a child. Could be the case, I guess. It could also be genes. It could also be surroundings when I was a child. Which is kind of, it is a part of the first point that I came up with, but. There's so many different reasons why, for example, you could be angry, or why anger is something that's maybe even underlying emotion that you're having. There's actually a lot of reasons, and most often there's something subconscious, but you can also use your anger. You can also use your anger as fuel for just greater things. Even though this is something that's incredibly, at least in my point of view, or at my point of view, it is something that's incredibly difficult to do, because when you're angry, it is just merely a reaction to whatever is happening. It is not about the situation, it is a reaction to the situation. So in the end, we can actually control that. But being able to control that, and actually being also able to take this energy and take this amount of energy and put it into something else, is also incredibly difficult, at least in my point of view. because most often it's, at least for me, this energy, it's turning out into like words or me punching something. It's not going to be humans. I don't do that, but I'm going to punch things, which is not that good for me either, and also not for the thing. So, but I'm most often just hurting myself, kind of, But in the end, it's like, it's anger, and just some days are obviously worse, but I'm actually doing quite good at the time, I'd say. Like there hasn't been a lot of things that happened lately, but I think in terms of such things, it is really about figuring out what is causing these things. What triggers there are that you're not gonna just, I don't know, you're not gonna just explode and be furious in just fucking public or something like that. It's not just because it is like just not nice to have that in terms of, okay, I'm gonna feel bad when somebody sees me, a stranger sees me just raging around and whatnot. But it's also just like unnecessary and a waste of time in the end as well, But also CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, might be a thing that could help you if you're just also having to deal with a lot of anger, maybe even more than I am or than I'm having. But yeah, so conquer your anger. Let's see. Let's see what he's talking about here. Leaders, artists, generals, and athletes who are driven primarily by anger not only tend to fail over a long enough timeline, but they tend to be miserable even if they don't. Our stillness depends on our ability to slow down and choose not to be angry. To run on different fuel that doesn't hurt other people or cause our cause or our chance at peace. The leader we truly respect have been fueled by love, country, compassion, destiny, reconciliation, mastery, idealism, and also family. Apparently. And I do think that it just also makes sense. It is something that we are looking for in people at this point in time. This definitely changed, I guess. Like nowadays it might actually be love. It might be a nice leader. It might be like, okay, I'm looking up to a person that is nice. I'm looking up to a person that is doing something great, to somebody that is famous, to somebody that is in good shape, to somebody that is whatever. But I think this just has been a different thing some years ago. It's obviously always been like, okay, I am just looking at somebody or I'm watching somebody and I think this person is so cool, is really a role model for me. I do think this is just something that did not change. I guess that it has quite always been the case that there's something like role models. But I think it changed what we are looking for in people. I think back in the days it might have been, well, actually being, I think it somehow changed, even though to some degree it obviously stayed the same, I guess, at least, or I could imagine, when it, for example, comes up to money and looking rich and looking wealthy, then it might have been actually even a bigger deal back in the days because wars, because the economic crisis, because of all these things that you as a woman or as a man, you would have been more attractive if you have just looked like you're quite wealthy, which kind of also makes sense to some degree, of course, a lot of things make sense. Well, anyway, all is one. Whether it comes from the perspective of space, a religious epiphany, or the silence of meditation, the understanding that we are all connected, that we are all one, is a transformative experience. Everyone is necessary, even the people you don't like. No one is alone in suffering or in joy. Down the street, across the ocean, in another language, someone else is experiencing nearly the exact same thing at this point in time. At this point in time, some person on this whole entire fucking planet is also recording a podcast. I know that, because the chance is way too fucking high. There must be somebody. Still, too often we forget it, and we forget ourselves in the process, which does actually not sound really nice. You're forgetting yourself. Not that of a cool thing, I imagine. The third, the domain of the body. So, to what do you attribute your success in life? Immediately, Churchill replied, conservation of energy. Never stand up when you can't sit down, and never sit down when you can't lie down. To turn our bodies into allies, we need to rise above our physical limitations, find hobbies that rest and replenish us, develop a reliable and disciplined routine, spend time getting active outdoors, seek out solitude and perspective, learn to sit, to do nothing when called for, get enough sleep, and rein your own workaholism, coming to cause bigger than ourselves. I'm sorry. Commit to causes bigger than ourselves. And I thought like, well, coming to causes, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. There must be something wrong. And then I've looked just at it another time and I thought like, well, it's the exact same fucking shit. And then the third time I've realized, well, it is actually not the exact same fucking shit. It is something different. Apparently, it is something. Long story short, I'm sorry. Let's move on. Say no. Each of us needs to get better at saying no. As in, no, sorry, I'm not available. No, I'm going to wait and see. No, I don't like that idea. No, I don't need that. I'm going to make the most of what I have. You're often being asked to give a piece of your life, usually in exchange for something you don't even want. Remember, it is your life and time that you can never get back. And there's a quote, when we know what to say no to, we can say yes to the things that matter, because we know what does not matter. You could also be doing it vice versa, just focusing on what does not matter to actually see what matters. Let's highlight it. Let's highlight it down so that everything is fine and everything is nice and everything is cozy. Maybe it's not really cozy, but no, it's what it is. Take a walk. Every day I walk myself into a state of well-being and walk away from every illness. I have walked myself into my best thoughts, and I know of no thought so burdensome that one cannot walk away from it. Well, there must be something, yeah. Anyway, these are the words of the first existentialist philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard. Or it is Soren Kierkegaard. I don't know. Could be. A good walk is an embodiment of the concepts of presence, of detachment, of emptying the mind, of noticing and appreciating the beauty of the world around you. Yes, which totally makes sense, because we're having actually a really, really incredibly beautiful world around us. It is truly insane. There's so many nice animals, so many nice plants. The light is nice. The trees are nice. Actually, everything is nice, But you do just have to find something about it that is nice or that is beautiful, that is whatever. But it's not that difficult, It truly is not. Just have a look outside of the window, as I'm just doing right now. And what I'm seeing is a bunch of buildings, a mountain, some trees, something that I don't know the name of. Then there's gardens, and there's cars, and there's the sky, and there's actually also the sun, apparently, or just light. There's not a lot of just clouds today. It's actually really, really beautiful blue sky. It's amazing. It really is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I do think it is it is a good idea to just develop this kind of perspective, to develop this kind of just having a look at the reality and just having a look at also people. It doesn't also or only depend on whatever you're seeing as a physical thing and naming it as it is, just thinking whether it is something nice or not. But it also is like, if you're just dealing with people, and if somebody did something amazing, if somebody did a really good job, why don't you tell them? It is an amazing thing, you're gonna make this person's day, and maybe you're actually getting something back, but this shouldn't be the reason why you're doing something. It shouldn't be like, okay, I'm gonna get something from this person, therefore I'm fucking doing that. Please don't do that. Really, please don't do it. Like, there's no reason why you should be doing that. There's no good reason why it also would make sense to do something like that, Even though, like, there's a lot of ways you can make money, probably, which are not good, which are not really legal, and you might also not really like to some degree, or just in the end as well. But yeah, it's actually a negative example. I've been talking about a lot of things that you should not be doing, or that are not that good. But on the flip side, there's actually also a lot of things that are pretty good. There's a lot of cool jobs, and there's a lot of cool foods and beverages, and there's a lot of cool toys, and there's a lot of cool games, and there's a lot of cool whatever. I don't know. The next point, should we? Yeah, we can go through the next point, but it's probably somehow gonna be the last one, unfortunately. Really, really indeed, unfortunately. Build a routine. Most people wake up to face the day as an endless barrage of bewildering and overwhelming choice, one right after another. This is exhaustion. When we automate and routines the tribal parts of life, we free up resources to do important and meaningful exploration. We buy room for peace and stillness, and thus make good work and good thoughts accessible and inviolable. We buy room for peace and stillness, and thus make good work and good thoughts accessible and inviolable. Or inevitable. Yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that might be difficult, and just in the end, there's a lot of things that we do, and it is like just only creating, well, and a byproduct of it is actually something that's incredibly important. As for example, if you're working on something that you really like to do, then the obvious effect is that you're gonna like your day, and you're gonna like your week, and you're gonna like the job that you're doing. But on the flip side, it's also the case that you're probably gonna appreciate your life. You're probably gonna. I've actually forgotten about it. Wow. Well, that's amazing. Thank you, brain. Thank you for forgetting about it. It's cool. I'm actually pretty tired, or my eyes feel really tired. I myself, I'm not that tired, but I kind of feel that way. I haven't been sleeping that much for the past week, but well, yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna stop the episode there. This is gonna be the end. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're gonna remind yourself and you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. And yeah, which is an amazing thing, and which is truly something to think about. Like, don't you want to be remembered as a good person? Don't you want to be remembered as a person that did something amazing? Do you just don't want to be such a person? You really want to be such a person, right? I know. Really sarcastic, but in the end, I actually mean it. But I think we do all want to be remembered as a good person rather than a bad one. Like, I think it is just some universal thing that human beings want to have. We want to be good, and then we want to be perceived as something good, I would say as well. But yeah, the three last questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These three questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. But yeah, we're going to see. And we're going to decide, and we're going to figure that out, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time. So maybe even subscribe to the podcast. I would appreciate that. And I really have to thank you. So thank you. See you the next time. Bye.